Okay, let's dig down deep into the parsha this week, which is called Bamidbar. It's the fourth book of the Bible. We finished the first three, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and now Bamidbar comes to the fore this Shabbat. What is Bamidbar? Well, the word itself is simply the fourth word of the text of this week's Sidra, this week's Torah portion. It is chosen simply because it is the first unusual word that demarcates it as different, and therefore selected as the name of the book, but it really is not descriptive of what is in the book to a large degree. There are many different names for the book of Bamidbar. One of them that we call in English is Numbers, which is excerpted from the Septuagint's interpretation of the Bible. And the book of Numbers is descriptive. It refers to the census that was taken of the Jewish people in the course of reading this text, this book of Bamidbar. Bamidbar, by the way, translates as in the wilderness, and it does take place precisely there, in the wilderness of Sinai, 38 years of wandering through the desert after the liberation from slavery and before the entering into the Holy Land, the Promised Land of Israel. There is a third name of this book as well, which is the oldest name that we know. It's found in the Talmud, in the tractate of the Masechet called Yoma, which is called Chumash HaPikudim, the fourth book, or the fifth book rather, of musterings, of gathering together of the Jewish people. So all of the people are clustered together for the first time, and they're traveling as a nation, as a group, after Mount Sinai, and they're really coalescing into a coherent body for the first time. So this descriptive name of the book, Chumash HaPikudim, the fifth gathering together of the Jewish people, really is, besides being the oldest name of the book, is perhaps the most descriptive name of the fourth book of the Bible. But one other thought I want to bring forward for consideration as we begin this brand new book of the Torah is that there are times in our life when we walk in darkness, when we walk in complete darkness, that we feel that there's no light proliferating anywhere. And what are those times in your life? What are those times that we are walking through the desert? And I think this is key to truly understanding what the fourth book of the Bible is about. It's about making sense of the difficult passages in our life, making sense of wandering through the desert. And this sometimes not only are days or weeks. Sometimes there were years in our life of wandering through the desert, looking for the promised land of our life. And how do we make sense of the dark chapters when we walk through this period of our time when there seems to be no light coming through, no understanding of what life is about? But we understand that the desert is a time when we put down our tent pegs, as it were, and we try not to extract ourselves from the darkness, but rather live in it until the light comes through to us. Because there is always light. And the light sometimes is not necessarily found without, but rather within. That there is always a burning light. What in Yiddish is sometimes referred to as the Pintel Yid. There is a light that burns inside of all of us all the time, even in the darkest hours of our moments when we see no redemption. There is always hope. And so I think, to leave you with this final thought, Bamidbar is about living in the desert of our life, living in the moments when we are looking for reason and hope and meaning. And it's always there. It's never really beyond our grasp. But sometimes we have to reach beyond the parameters of our ego and self-desires to find it. But it's always there. And with enough perseverance, enough internal pushing of our selfhood toward that promised land, we make it. And that's when we achieve the greatest growth of our life. May it be so. May it be so soon. And may our willingness to look deeper never waver. Shabbat Shalom.